There's a technique that's been really getting a lot of buzz recently, and it's caught my attention, and it's called spy baiting. It's a really unique and interesting finesse style presentation that's been around for quite a while in Japan and is really starting to make its way over here to North America. And for me, I wanted to explain a little bit of what I've learned with it so far. I think spy baiting being so new, one of the most interesting parts of it is it's really going to evolve over the next little while. I think back to the first time the drop shot came over and the equipment that I was using and the way I was working my bait, it's all changed, and it's really because people have refined it with experience, and I think it'll be no different with spy baiting. But at this point, there's three real pieces to, I think, what I wanted to go through, and that's the bait itself, the equipment that you should be using, and the general presentation or technique to be working the bait back. In terms of the actual bait, this is a Duo Realis Spin Bait 80. Now I think Duo Realis has really done a great job with their bait. They're probably one of the ones that have put the most investment, time, research, development, really creating a great bait. It's got a great finish and it really looks good in fish as well. The spin bait itself, what it's really made up of is you've got two small props here, one at the front, one at the back. You've got a bit of a contour in the actual body of the bait, and as you're bringing it in, those props are going to spin, create a little bit of propulsion, and the bait's going to rock ever so slightly back and forth. It's a really, really interesting bait when it comes through the water. And again, that's the Duo Realis Spin Bait 80. For me, when it comes to equipment, what I'm really using my drop shot setup right now. I've got a 6'9" medium light rod. And what I'm using is fluorocarbon. So I've been using 6-pound fluorocarbon. It's pretty important to be using that light line with the small finesse bait. And what I'm doing is really I'm using a braid backing. And the reason I'm using a braid backing is that sometimes you're fishing the bait in 20 to 30 feet and you're doing it on a full length cast. So for me, I've got a fair bit of line out. So I like to have the braid backing in there so that I can get a good hook set when I do get bit. As well as it lets me really feel what's going on when I've got all that different line out in deep water. That said, I do use that fluorocarbon leader. I'm using an Albright knot to connect my leader to my main line. The Albright knot I think is a great knot. It's nice and strong, it's easy to tie, and it goes through my guides. I have about a 10-foot leader right now. So again, that's really what I'm using. It's essentially my drop shot setup. Now the way you're working the bait, you're making a long cast with your spin bait. You're letting it sink, so it's a sinking bait, and you're counting it down to the contour that you want to work. So for suspended fish, it's great. If you're out in 20 feet of water, you can fish it, a foot or two off the bottom. And really, the benefit of the spy bait and using spy baiting is that you can really trace a depth level. You can really trace a contour. So what you're doing, you're casting it out, you're counting it down, and then from there, you're reeling ever so slowly. So again, it's a slow reel. It's borderline boring as you're bringing it in, but you're just bringing it in just fast enough to be tracing that contour. The bait's doing all the work. So you're not working the bait. The small blades, the small props are bringing all the propulsion, they're bringing all the vibration, and they're just basically tracing that contour as you're going along. So again, you're not working the bait, casting it out, letting it sink to the desired depth, slowly bringing it back. If you do it, give spy baiting a try. Use your drop shot setup, and again, like I said, I'm really interested to look back at it a couple of years, see how things have evolved, see how much it's caught on, and see what type of a player it is in the fishing world. For me, it's something that I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of, and I'm sure you will do.